So I received an email from this guy a little bit of time ago, and he's basically saying that he has a problem. So I asked him what his problem was, and it's basically when he brings girls home at night, he has no problem during the makeout, when they're getting close, but as soon as he brings them back home and the pants start coming off, he can't get hard. And this has happened a number of times, and he's actually done the NoFap thing. He's done that for months, okay? So, why is this happening? So I've actually talked to a lot of guys with this problem where they have done the NoFap and they feel like this is the number one thing that should be curing my erectile dysfunction, and it doesn't. So this is kind of a frustrating thing because that's for a lot of guys, that's the reason why they get into NoFap in the first place. So why isn't it working? Well, the simple answer is that NoFap doesn't solve all your problems. Okay, it solves a lot of them. I think the NoFap movement is a really, really good movement, something that's come out of all this overstimulation we get from the modern day lifestyle, but I think it tends to overpromise and underdeliver for certain areas. Now, if you're having a problem getting hard bringing chicks home, there's a reason for this. There's a mental insecurity, there's a confidence issue going on that you need to solve, and it may or may not be related to your masturbation habits. Okay, so obviously I'm not saying that pornography doesn't change your mind. I'm not saying that jerking off a lot affects your stimulation. It does, but it's not the whole picture. The whole picture encompasses everything. So for this type of guy, it was kind of interesting to hear the way he described it. He described it, he was totally fine with the makeout. He was getting hard when they were making out. When they were kind of getting cozy in the club, they were his dick was doing fine, it was upright, it was ready to go, but as soon as he brought her home and the pants started coming off, that's when things started to happen. Now, obviously, when he's taking off his pants and he's naked and he's showing his dick, there's a little bit of insecurity there. Maybe there's a little bit of nerves happening. And I know he's not the only guy out there where this is happening to. So there's a saying in the pickup community, and there's a saying in the dating seduction or whatever you want to call it. And that's that the first time you bring a really hot girl or a girl that you think is really hot home, for a lot of guys, they can't get hard. And the reason why is because they're nervous, they're scared, they've never done this before, and so they don't really feel confident doing it. So how do you get confident in doing something that you've never done if you've never done it? It's a really tough place to be because you're nervous that you've never done it, and because of that, you keep getting nervous. And the more you get in your head, the more it feeds into the anxiety, the more it feeds into the stress, and the worse the problem gets. My advice, stop all this, relax, this is totally normal. What you need to start focusing on is the things that actually start turning you on. What actually makes you hard? When you think about that sort of stuff, do you feel some blood flowing? Do you feel something happening down there? What sorts of things do you think about where that actually happens? Now, it might surprise you the types of things that actually turn you on as opposed to what you think would turn you on, because we were all raised to believe that we want a certain thing, and I think for a lot of guys out there, we're taught to believe that, we want this kind of sex and that's enough for us. But it turns out, if you look at actually what this guy was telling me, he said he had no problem getting hard when they were making out, when they were close to each other. He likes intimacy, he likes feeling comfort, but he doesn't like to feel shame. And there's a lot of shame that guys have around their dick, there's a lot of shame that guys have around sex they don't want to approach and they don't want to tackle. We kind of shove that stuff underneath the carpet. We don't really want to talk about it. We don't really ask ourselves these questions. We don't really ask ourselves what turns us on. We just assume it's the same thing that we've been watching in the pornos, or we've been brought up to believe, like the natural stuff. So ask yourself these questions, and then once you know the stuff that actually makes you horny, the stuff that actually turns you on and gives you that rush and you feel blood flowing to that area, then start with those things. Okay, I guarantee you, for a lot of guys out there, you might be in the same position as this dude, where you feel like, I have no problem when we're making out at the club, but when I bring them home and the pants come off, nothing's happening. Well, start with that. When you bring the girl home, when you're in that situation, try and make out with them a little bit more. Spend more time doing the sorts of stuff that's actually turning you on. Wait until you finally get hard and then move on to the other stuff. So a lot of times guys, they automatically assume that they're just going to be ready to go as soon as they see tits and an ass. As soon as the girl's naked, it's going to happen. There's a lot of psychology going on. There's a lot of moods, and women are much more attuned to this than men are, but just because they're more attuned to it doesn't mean that it doesn't happen for men as well. So start asking yourselves these questions. and start trying to figure out the sorts of things that you can start doing in the bedroom that's going to make you more comfortable, that's going to make you actually get hard, and then you can move on to the stuff that you're nervous about, the stuff that you have a little bit of anxiety over and that you're stressed out. Move on to that sort of stuff once you're comfortable. Now, this is going to take some time. You might need to be seeing someone for a little bit of time for this to happen. The good news is that women are very understanding, okay? Most of them, unless they're like huge bitches, they're going to be pretty understanding about this, and they're going to probably be down to work with you through it. They probably have some anxiety about sex as well that they're dealing with and stuff like that. Women like to feel comfortable as well. So the more comfortable they feel with you, the more they feel like they can relax, the better the sex is going to be. The same thing for you. Once you start feeling comfortable with the girl, once you start moving on to those other things that stress you out, you're going to be a lot more confident and you're going to be a lot better in bed. So my recommendation is find those things that turn you on. Actually think about it. Start doing those things and move on to the stuff that stresses you out. That actually, you're worried about, the stuff that you don't get hard for. Move on to there after that. And I would recommend that you stick with a girl for a long period of time. And when I mean long, I mean you're having sex with her multiple times, you're seeing her again and again, to try and figure this problem out. Once you start getting more confident with your sexuality, once you start getting more confident with, with your dick, then you're going to start having a lot more sex and you're going to start having a lot more fun when you have sex. And this won't be an issue for you. I remember in my life, this was something that used to happen to me. Now, I know when you bring a girl home and that sort of thing happens, you start to kind of worry, you start to get in your own head, you start to think, oh, is she gonna think my dick is small? Is she gonna laugh about it, when she tells her friends or whatever? Is she gonna think I'm bad? Is she gonna think I'm doing this, that, or the other thing wrong? Try and push all that out of your mind. And I know it's really tough at the beginning, and I had trouble with this too. Not with one girl, but mine was kind of a interesting situation. I started getting a lot of threesomes. So I would bring 2 girls home, and with one girl I was totally fine with, but with the second girl being in there, I just started to get like a little nervous, and like it wouldn't happen for me. Like I wouldn't get hard. And if you think if you think it's bad when you disappoint one girl because you can't get hard, try disappointing 2 girls. Oh my God, it's humiliating. So what I started to do was I started to focus on the things that actually turned me on, which was, with one girl that felt more comfortable and more natural for me. So what I did was I would focus on one girl for a longer period of time, wait for me to start getting hard, and then I would move on to both girls at the same time, or the next girl. But I would wait till I was a little bit more comfortable with one of the girls till I moved on to the next one. And with that, I was able to build up my confidence, and now I have 0 problems with threesomes, 0 problems getting hard during those types of situations. And I actually just proved that this weekend. So there's a happy ending to these stories. Hopefully this helped. If you made it to the end, consider subscribing. I come up with videos like this every single week. Guys, if you still have questions about this, feel free to email me. I don't mind talking about this sort of stuff. It's totally natural. I think when you are comfortable with your sexuality, when you are confident sexually, that's when you can really attract and get the girls that you want in life. Begin with the end in mind. If you aren't confident with the ending, if you don't have that in mind, then it's going to be very difficult for you to get to it. And hopefully your goal is to have sex with an awesome, attractive, hot girl. So thanks a lot, you guys, and good luck out there.